today we've chosen the subject of handshaking.
Handshaking. Not this.
Not the nervous type, but greeting.
Yeah, greetings.
The process of greeting. And so you've written down some questions here about it to get us going. Would you like for me to pose one of the questions?
I suppose.
Or would you like to do that?
I just kind of got a vague idea of what the questions are. I'll probably have to read them.
Let's just go over them. Philip prepares. I don't prepare. I just lean on Philip, whatever he tells me.
I'm less prepared this time.
Okay. Well, let's see where extemporaneous takes us. Handshaking. Let's see. Is handshaking only a Western practice? Good question. Or is it worldwide? That is the question. Now, what can you tell about a person from a handshake? Now, that's a good one. That could eat up the whole program right there. What does a handshake mean? Are there different types of handshakes? Okay. Is handshaking only a Western practice? I think it is predominantly a Western practice.
Well, you see,
I think I don't have any education on that.
I'll just refer back to the news videos of the president. The president goes to a foreign country.
They shake hands.
So, is the foreign emissary, is the foreign individual just doing it because American president puts his hand out, or do they do it on their own between each other? That's what I don't know.
Well, I know when I went to Vietnam back years ago as a young man.
Yeah.
We got indoctrinated, training about what to do and what not to do
For cultural customs.
Yeah, what their culture. And I do remember that they don't shake. They said don't try to shake hands with them because they don't have toilet paper over there like we do. They use their hand for water and they use their hand to clean themselves, and therefore, cultural wise, they don't shake hands because that hand is contaminated.
Oh, okay. Well, I understand that.
It has to do with their cultures out there.
Well, we faced a little bit of that during the pandemic, where people stopped shaking hands. They do that fist bump.
The fist bump. That's right.
Or even elbow bumps or something.
That's right.
That was because of the germs, the bug pandemic.
That's right. That's right. And there are people who even before, were kind of Howard Hughes was a famous one. Who was a germ phobic. We've always had nutcases that were germ phobics.
Yeah,
didn't shake hands.
That's an exceptional case, though. I think that people don't want to touch anything.
It is, but as far as cultures and countries, I couldn't name one, but except for that experience I had going to an Asian country or Southeast Asia, they didn't shake hands because of that bathroom habit. But I don't know. I have a feeling that if the President of the United States is the most powerful man on earth, and if he reaches out to shake hands, other cultures are maybe subordinate.
Probably.
Maybe they wouldn't refuse, even though they normally would not.
Yeah.
Shake hands. So you can't tell by that.
I spent 2 years in Europe, in Austria, but that was a Western country. That's a Western culture, pretty much. So, yeah, they shook hands there. But I don't know about... I was in the Philippines, but I've never had an occasion to... I don't recall having an occasion to shake hands with people in the Philippines.
They don't walk up and stick their hand out?
No, I don't think so.
We do here.
I don't think it's as common because there again, they eat with their hands. Their hands are always kind of got food on them.
They do. They eat more with their fingers, don't they?
Yeah.
They don't have the nice, wealthy silverware that we have.
That might have something to do with it.
Poorer countries.
And it goes back to the Vietnamese, using the bathroom, but they don't have toilet paper. That same thing. But that being said, what does it mean to shake somebody's hand?
Well, a handshake. I guess we watch the old cowboy and Indian movies where the Indian goes howl, or he raises.
Come in
his hand.
peace.
Yeah, or peace. Uses his hand. But to actually grasp the other guy's hand, it seems a natural thing to do, doesn't it to you?
It
just
well, for
like
us,
a natural thing for humans to do.
Now there's a etiquette rule that says if you meet a woman, the woman has to offer her hand first.
Oh.
Have you heard of that?
I don't think I ever learned that.
I learned that somewhere along the line, that when you're like in a group and you're meeting a woman, a lady, and the guy goes, "Oh, this is Mrs. Jones. Miss Jones, this is Phil." You don't offer your hand until she does. She has to.
You may be right, but I think I've been doing it wrong all these years. I always stick my hand out.
Probably, but I think that is
Either
more.
way.
That is more of a courtesy to the woman. You don't want to put her on the defensive by offering your hand. So, now I've got to touch him. I'm the.
Well, is it the touching? What
I don't
about some people hug?
Some
a
people
close
kiss
friend.
on the cheek in France. They kiss each other.
They do kiss. Italians kiss.
Yeah.
Even men to men. I mean, it's not a gay thing.
But it's basically a greeting, I guess, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. I don't really know if it's worldwide, for one thing. I think it's.
Well, I think let's for the purposes of our discussion, let's assume that it probably is not worldwide.
Yeah.
That's probably the safest assumption. We can't assume that everybody does what we do, because when you stop and think about it, again, some people hug necks typically in the South. Okay, other parts in the U.S.
Depends on how close.
They don't hug necks.
Depends on how close you are. If it's family, you'd hug. If it's
Family.
If it's church, you shake hands. You don't go up and hug everybody at church, but you do hug some people at church.
You do hug some people at church.
So it depends on your relationship, how close you are to that person, a family or close friend or
old friends maybe. When I see an old friend that I haven't seen in a long time, it seems like the natural thing to do, to hug necks.
Yeah.
But maybe we shake hands too. I don't know. But it is a tradition in America to shake
I didn't do my usual research on this, so I suspect handshaking goes back to Roman days or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I didn't study it at all.
Well, let's assume since we in our culture, in our world, everybody shakes hands. I don't know how they do it, in Montana, but here in Alabama we shake hands, and sometimes we hug necks if they're close. But let's move through it as to what does it mean to you and me here in Alabama.
Yeah.
Because one of my pet peeves is a dead fish handshake. I don't get that. A lot of people have never learned to shake hands properly.
Maybe they're just shy about grabbing your hand firmly.
Maybe they just don't know it. They don't think about it. But see, I was actually taught early in life a tradition of a firm handshake. That a firm handshakes, you shake a person's hand firmly and look them in the eye.
Well, it kind of shows your determination or your.
Does that mean you're trying to be dominant?
I think so.
Or does that mean that you're just trying to engage in the friendship?
Well, I think it means that you're trying to show that you're strong. You're
trying to show strength.
You're not necessarily physical strength, but you're a strong personality. I'm a go-getter. I'm positive mental attitude. Instead of just coming up with that wimpy.
Have you? I know you probably haven't tested this in the lab, but have you found a correlation between a weak, flimsy handshake and strength of character?
No, I haven't. I haven't done that kind of research.
Or you have an opinion?
I'm just presupposing that it is an indication of character.
Is that how you would judge?
Yeah, I think so.
If you met somebody and they gave you a flimsy handshake, do you rush to an immediate judgment of who they are? Does that form in your mind any kind of consensus of who they are?
Yeah, I don't think we can get around it. I mean, if I come up and shake your hand like this,
mm-hmm.
What kind of guy you?
I can't stand it. I usually say something. I say, "What is this?"
Yeah. Well, me too. I like a firm, committed grip. That's like, if you really like somebody, you come up and give them a big hug.
Yeah.
You don't stand off and say, "Oh, hey, let's hit elbows."
Yeah. And hugs are the same way. I love a good hug. When a guy with guys. If a big strong man hugs me, I expect him to give me a good hard squeeze. Not one of the little patty pat
Right.
hugs. That's what you give a little old lady. You're afraid you'll break her bones.
So the little pat on the back.
The little pat on the back. that means nothing. A little pat on the back. It's like, oh, bless your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you meet somebody you really do like, and it's you've known him a long, guys, you give them a hard hug, and same way with the ladies too. If it's somebody like you're not gonna hurt them.
Yeah.
You give them a firm, if not a bone breaking hug, at least a snug one.
Yeah.
Enough to where they know that it's a real hug.
Well, Bill Beach in our early days in the church here, Bill Beach was good about giving that. He'd almost pull you right off the floor.
He'd pop your head right off your shoulders.
Taking you, or a hug, or
Same
a handshake.
Yeah, and I've known guys that were buddies, friends, big strong guys, so would typically almost get into a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Over their handshake, they would push and shove and grab them by the shoulder.
Yeah.
And they would just go to wrestling.
Well, that kind of puts me off too. If somebody grabs me so hard it throws me off balance, and I think he's going to break my arm. You can't reciprocate, because here's Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah. Well, I think you probably would not do that unless it was someone that you knew was going to reciprocate in the same way. Would take it the right way. I mean, people that I know.
I met people that will do it to anybody, women, other guys.
But that wouldn't be that appropriate, would it?
No.
It wouldn't be that appropriate to wrestle somebody that you didn't know wanted to
wrestle.
wrestle.
Just to show them that you're super strong.
Yeah. But maybe just a moderately firm handshake.
Yeah.
Right?
Firm but controlled.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about this? This is a little thing from years of business. And I always like to tell the young ones, about the proper handshake, how to handshake. It's when you handshake somebody, like stick out your hand. The dominant guy, put your hand out, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And I'm going to grab your hand first.
Oh, I see. You're the aggressor.
Yeah, to be the aggressor, I grab your hand first, and that kind of sets the other guy. If you're like a salesman and you're meeting the top dog, you want to show that you are the aggressor.
I think that same kind of psychology is what I meant by the etiquette notion of the woman offering first. You don't just grab her hand.
It's a protocol. Yeah,
that's not appropriate.
And it's not always appropriate with a woman. You don't squeeze her hand. Even if you do give it a snug squeeze, her hand is more delicate. It's not feminine to like grab a hold of her like you would a guy.
Exactly, yeah.
Maybe a snug handshake, but not a bone breaking.
Well, it's just common sense unless you have a mental defect.
Because she's not as strong. Yeah, I mean, anybody can wrestle a girl down. Excuse me, ladies.
Yeah, I got her good.
Yeah. That's kind of like bending an aluminum beer can, Anybody can do that.
See what I did?
Yeah, I put her on her knees. You see what I did? I put her down. But no, I think a handshake should reflect some energy. Yeah, but not necessarily dominance.
Well, we go back to that pandemic thing about we didn't touch anything. We didn't touch each other. We're constantly washing our hands. And we don't want to get the germs. So the alternative, even in church, when you meet somebody, you would do the fist bump, or didn't it get to a point where we would do like an elbow bump?
Sometimes
we wouldn't even touch fists; we'd touch elbows,
right?
Something like that.
Right. Well, and a lot of people are still doing that, just like a lot of people are still wearing the face mask, even after the pandemic is over. Sometimes we do things for a year or two, and we get a habit of doing them, and then next thing we're doing it for 10 or 20 years, and we can't remember why we ever started to start with, Yeah. And it was because of that pandemic back in,
Well,
whatever.
I don't know for a fact because I haven't done a study on it, but I think those people that still wear their face mask were prone to be germphobic
to start with.
Yeah, they were always that way. So when we started wearing face masks, they just confirmed it for them. Oh, we do need face masks, so I'll just keep wearing it forever.
Mm-hmm. Well, they say that Abraham Lincoln had those moles all over his face. That's why he first decided to grow a beard.
Oh, yeah.
Just maybe the mask accommodated people that thought of themselves as unattractive anyway. And if the mask later became an excuse, they just kept on wearing the mask because they're ugly.
Yeah.
Or at least they thought they were ugly.
They have good eyes. They have pretty eyes.
And they just go wear the mask.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I've seen some people like that. I met people when we were wearing masks, and then they take their mask off, and it was like
Hard to
on the
look at.
Seinfeld. Oh, Kramer. Oh man, he's ugly. That baby's ugly.
Yeah, maybe that's why they continue to keep wearing the mask. I don't know.
Could be to hide their what they consider their unattractive features or something on their
Yeah.
face.
But that's so much for the face mask. But moving on with the handshake, keeping us on track, as usually is your job. We digress. What can a person tell from a handshake? What do you tell from a handshake?
Well, whether the person is not so much physical, but whether a person's personality is a strong personality, aggressive personality, or are they the reticent, weak kind of person?
Strength or weakness, right? You judge that?
Somewhat, a little bit. It's not a tell-all, but it's an indication.
Well, when my wife Gwen, when I first moved back here, of course I went to high school with her, but when I met her and she took me to visit her mother, who was in the nursing home, blind. Her mother was like bat blind. She couldn't see anything. And she shook my hand, and she held my hand like that, and she looked over at Gwen. She just kind of rolled her her head over to Gwen. She said, "He don't work."
There you go. You can tell it's a working man.
He don't work. I thought that was kind of funny. I always remember it. Well, my your grandpa, Hubbard Albritton, was that way. Yeah. He judged a man immediately whether he had calluses on his hand.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it goes back historically to finding out about your opponent or your person that you're meeting, finding out a little bit more about them by touching them, doing the handshake. Oh, he's that way, huh? Okay. And it's like a starting off of the partnership or the conflict or whatever by touching, shaking hands first. Maybe that's how it got started.
Well, particularly in a day when most common men worked with their hands. They, cut logs with an axe. They built log cabins with an axe. They had calluses all over their hand. In those days, if you met a man with like milky smooth hands, he was either a gambler or a con man. He didn't work.
Yeah.
It was an ignoble
accountant. He was an accountant or
an accountant. Yeah, he really wasn't your kind of man. Wasn't a rough and tumble type. So I don't know so much today where everybody's kind of an accountant. People don't work anymore like they used to. That's true.
Well, this thought just came to my mind. Our cousin, he's gone now, but Ray Hall had that hand that was kind of messed up from birth. It was his right hand. And so where does that put us who, when you go to shake hands with somebody who has either no right hand or a deformed right hand or a missing right hand, and you have to shake their other hand, how do you feel about that? Does that affect?
That would tell me that they had a handicap of some type. If I couldn't see it, but normally you'd be able to see it. If they had a handicap, you'd be able to see, and if they reached out, shook hands with their left hand, the other hand, that would be the natural thing.
Or if their hand, they don't have a deformity, but they just got a broken arm in a sling, and they reach out with their left hand to shake.
Yeah, well, that would be understandable
It's
too.
just a temporary.
And expected, yeah. But now Ray Hall, that you talk about, Ray didn't shake hands with his left hand. He shook hands with his handicapped hand.
That's another thought. How do you feel when you have to touch that person's deformed hand? Does that kind of put you off, or do you feel uncomfortable touching that deformed?
I think so. Yeah.
It did me, when Ray would shake hands with me, and
it didn't feel right.
It was like I was shaking hands with a finger, or something,
right.
and
I think he had a thumb and one finger.
Yeah.
On his hand. That was a birth defect, not an injury.
Right.
We might add.
So I don't know how that affects the normal transaction of emotion when you shake somebody's hand, if it affects it at all by somebody having a deformity on their hand.
Well, I think it would. I think it would if you had not known that person a long time and you just knew that was the common way he had. You know, if Ray Hall had been a world leader and nobody knew that he had that handicap, he always kept it hidden. I think there would be.
Wasn't Senator Dole? Senator Dole had a war injury.
He had a war injury. His arm was
paralyzed or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a handshake tells you a lot about a person. It may not necessarily be accurate. What it tells you may not be valid, but nevertheless, I think it is a something that we judge people by their handshake.
You think women shake hands differently with women than they do with men?
No, I don't think they have any different prerequisites than men do. I mean, I think a young, stronger woman would not arm break a little fragile lady.
Yeah.
I think they would do the same thing that a man would do. But I've known women who were aggressive who gave you firm handshakes. I mean, certainly in a wrestling match, the man would probably win, you know. But even a little woman that's aggressive and shakes hands firmly.
Yeah. Let me run this by you then. We've all seen it in our culture today. It happens all the time in sports or all over the place. And it's usually younger people that they do this thing. Hold your hand up. They do.
Oh.
You know, that kind of a...
You know, that is fad. That's fad right there. That's
Yeah.
high sign. That's a high sign. You remember the old Little Rascals? They used to have a high sign. They did like this.
Did it include a handshake, though?
Didn't include a handshake. No, but with their hand. That was a little. Our gang high sign was. You know, and everybody has these secret handshakes and high signs.
Yeah.
You know, clubs and so forth.
Organizations, they have their own handshakes.
They have a special handshake, you know, and this came from young people. It's just fad, you know. It came from the black community. This is back in the 70s is when it all started.
Was there a name for that when they do that? They'd have all sorts of configurations with it.
They had a lot of configurations, yeah. You'd shake hands and you'd come across and then you'd tap on that and, you know, snap
you
your
come
fingers.
around and you tap the back.
Yeah, and then the backs. Yeah, that I don't remember that ever going on until like the Vietnam War. That was in the late 60s, early 70s that I remember ever seeing that kind of. I never saw that among black people or white people until the early 70s, probably.
I don't recall.
And then it became a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, I think handshakes seems to be, I don't know whether it's a learned experience for you and I, but it seems fairly natural to me that you wouldn't just walk up to a guy and start talking to him, you know. If it was a new person.
Well, if you're...
you would shake his
I would
hand.
say that's true if you're introduced, like if you're expected to talk to the guy. But if you just if you just like meet somebody at a concert, you're talking to people around. You don't shake hands with everybody that's around you every time you start talking to somebody. It could be a complete stranger and you're standing there beside, and it's, man, just see how that guy played the guitar? You don't shake his hand and say, hey, did you see how that guy played the guitar? Mm-hmm. It's only when you're introduced or you come face to face with somebody that you're meeting or about to talk to, I think.
You know, in the military, you learn this protocol that before you speak to a senior person, a senior NCO or an officer, you would approach them and request permission to speak.
Oh, really?
If it's a senior person.
Outside or inside? Everywhere.
Anywhere. You learn it in boot camp till you're the private, sir. The private requests permission to speak.
Oh, I think that's Marine Corps only.
I think that's Marine Corps only?
I never saw that in the Air Force.
Not even in boot camp?
No.
Well, it always was in the Marine Corps. And I remember one time I was an NCO. I was a corporal. And I walked up to a captain that I saw him every day. And I was on friendly terms. But he was the captain. I was a corporal. And I walked up to him and I said something like, did you remember to turn in that fitness report that I put in your box? I just walked up and said, did you get that fitness report? And he said, Corporal, you don't just walk up to a captain and start talking that way. You would say, sir, permission to speak. I mean, he was kind of on his hours. But I said, oh, okay. Sir, permission to speak. Giving some kind of indication that you're about to talk to him about the matter. You don't just go up and start talking to somebody about any matter. You first have to have some kind of introduction. And in the military, you don't shake an officer's hand. He's above you. We didn't shake officers' hands. Because that's another thing about handshake then. So perhaps, is there an indication of equality in a handshake?
Oh, there you go. I think so, yeah.
So in the military, I wouldn't just, as a corporal or even a sergeant, I wouldn't walk up and stick my hand out to a captain or a colonel, right? If he put his hand out first, I would take it. But I would, like the women thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't just offer. So a handshake then, might it be an equality gesture?
Yeah, you would do the same thing for any high-ranking official or high political person in your line, maybe, unless he offers his hand first. You don't just reach over and shake.
Don't presume that.
No,
yeah. And again, just like if the guy's a senior, it seems awkward to me, even naturally, that you would just walk up and start talking to somebody that's above you in status. Either a higher rank officer or he's a ambassador or something. You would precede your comments with some kind of introduction. Either may I ask you a question?
Yeah. Well, let's say you're a mechanic and you got grease all over your hands, and a customer comes in to ask you about a job he wants done, and you're coming out to talk to him, and you got grease on your hands. Do you wipe your hand off and shake, or do you shake with a dirty hand, or do you shake with your left hand, or how is that best handled, I think?
I think it's best handled by not offering to shake, because some people are squeamish about a greasy hand, and you never know, where they're going to look at your hand and say, I don't know about this guy.
Well, if the customer offers his hand first, the guy with a clean hand, say,
I would wipe my hand off.
I think I would wipe it off and say, excuse me, I got grease on my hand.
Say, I got grease on
and
my hand.
then shake hands, because
that's okay.
Because that meets at the equality thing then. You're on equality dealing then, because you cleaned your hand off and you shook hands.
Well, now that we're on this equality thing, that may be the best thing we've said in this whole discussion, as far as judging people and all of that. That a handshake, I hadn't really even thought that through until we're talking about it right now, but that could be the essence of a handshake, is a gesture of equality. I'm here, you're there, okay? And it's a gesture of equality that allows us to commence our conversation.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, that's a good thought to leave it with. Are we there yet?
We're close enough. Yeah, we've pretty much exhausted the subject, but as you know, once we start talking about something, other ideas come up, and we sometimes, delve deeper into the subject, or we get off on it.
That's right. Did you have another thought on it that we had left out?
No, that's just very interesting about the equality thing. Even probably historically for the handshake, the history of the handshake goes back to showing that you don't have a gun in your hand.
Here's my hand.
Here's my hand. We're equal. Shake hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I learned this little thing. If we have another minute, I'll tell you. Back when I got my first sales job, it was knocking on doors when I was 17 years old, selling encyclopedias door to door. And one of the first things I learned about salesmanship is to always never put your pens in your shirt pocket or on the outside. Never let the customer, or the prospect, if you will, see your pens, because he has this fear that somehow or another, if you have a pen, you're going to take away his free choice. You're going to sign that contract, because that's what salesmen do. That when you offer them that pen, that's when they sign away their life or whatever, right? So you always put your pens inside your inside jacket of your coat pocket. And my sales supervisor used this analogy. He said, in the old West, when the gunslinger comes into town, how do you know he's a gunslinger? Well, he's got those pearl handle pistols, right? and they're shiny. They're on each. He got two of them, one on each side. and you know this guy's a killer. You know, you don't really mess with him. You know, if you mess with him, he's liable to shoot you.
Plus, he got that lightning bolt stare.
He got that stare too. Yeah, that 1,000-yard stare. From, and so a gunslinger who wants to deceive, doesn't want you to know he's a gunslinger. He's going to carry his guns like Jesse James up inside his coat, right?
Concealed.
You're going to keep them concealed. So that's the whole thing about concealed weaponry, even today. You know, that's a guy you got to watch. It's a guy that's concealed carry, because you don't know he's carrying. If you walk around with that gun sticking out, I don't know. It's just, if you will go down to Gaffer's or some department store, you know, you could have your gun hid under your shirt. Nobody notices. But if you walk in there with a two pearl handle pistols, people are going to avoid you. They know you're a gunslinger. You know, the guys see that guy? He's a killer. You know?
Well, I don't want to get off on guns.
So anyway, this is the idea of concealing who you are.
Yeah, and that presentation, you know, your hands empty, we're equal.
Right, your hand. That's what it goes
talk.
back to. Yeah. My hand. You see.
All right, let's close it off here for handshaking, and we'll get on with something else here next time.
Okay, there may be a little super editing in the part here.
A little bit. I've done that before.
So if anybody